Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jody Kielbasa, and I'm the director of the Virginia Film Festival, which is presented by the University of Virginia and the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. And I would like to welcome you to this preview of our 24th annual Virginia Film Festival. And you know, I say that because next year we'll be celebrating, and I know you can do the math on this, our 25th annual Virginia Film Festival, and I'd like to consider this as a bridge to that year. I hope we have a really incredible and special year, which will serve as a forecast for next year, which I think is going to be a year in which we take a look back on the previous 25 years and do something even more special. So I wanted to highlight that for a moment. You've probably, in the 2 years that I've been here, and this is now my third Virginia Film Festival, seen a number of changes, and probably two of the most noticeable will be A, that we have a new logo, which you've seen, which we introduced last year, and that last year also was the first year without an overarching theme. And I say that once again because sometimes I still get that on the street, what's the theme this year? And in reality, we don't have an overarching theme anymore, and I think as a result of that, we've been able to explore a much wider variety of themes through sidebars on any number of given topics. And that seems to have opened the festival up and made it much more accessible. I want to highlight a couple of things. The year before I got here, there were approximately 11,000 in attendance, and last year we were 23,750, which is nearly 2.5 times the attendance. And I really think that that's a testament to the community. We've worked very hard to reach out to the community, to partner with other organizations, social service organizations, cultural organizations, and I programmed with this community in mind, trying to think about films that would resonate in this community and be of interest to the community, and I think that that's made an important difference. And you know, I'm proud to say that we seem to have been embraced by the community last year with that kind of attendance, something that I hope that we're able to improve upon this year. Community outreach and community building is an important part of my belief in artistic vision and programming, and something we'll continue a commitment to moving forward, to screening films by Virginia filmmakers and bringing in experts from the community, community activists, along with the academics that make up the creative and intellectual firepower from the University of Virginia. And I think that that's what makes this festival unique and distinguishes us over and above the other 1,500 film festivals or so that are throughout this country and even more throughout the world. We have a number of films this year that are big studio films, but along with that, we have an incredible array of films that are independent films, some that are locally produced. We've been able to partner with these filmmakers to bring many of them in, and I think that what's unique about this festival is we're able to get behind the ideas behind those films. A lot of festivals you go to, they'll bring the filmmakers out, they'll have a discussion about, well, what camera did you use, what was the budget, what about this artist, which is great and very valuable, and we do that as well. But I really think it's when we bring people in and say, why did you make this film? What was your reason for making the film? What is your passion in making this film? Who you're trying to reach? And that's when we really get down to the substance of what I feel the Virginia Film Festival is really about and what I think makes me most proud. So, before moving forward and looking ahead, I want to revisit last year for a second. We have a video that's been produced. It's just 2 minutes long, so bear with us, but it sort of gives you a sense of the size and the scope of the festival as it's evolved in the last 2 years, and I want to share that with you before we move forward. So again, Colleen, if you could, thank you.
Just won Best Documentary at the prestigious Bergen, Norway Film Festival, which is remarkable. It's winning juries all over the world.
Never turn your camera off. You don't think anything's happening? Something is really happening.
You are literally the very first audience to see this movie. No one has seen it, so thank you.
When they write their screenplays with the idea that it can be filmed in Virginia, and filming in Virginia is a $378 million industry growing for the very
last picture shoot. We'd love to send them this record this year. We'd love to fill every theater for filmmakers and send the message that this is going to be one of the top regional destination film festivals in the United States. Certainly we're welcome to do with the University of Virginia behind us, with this incredible community surrounded by the mountains. Thank you for making this great festival. We'll see you in movies like this. Thank you.
So that was last year, and we were kind enough to have Silverthorne Films make that for us. They were kind enough to pull that together. They did a great job. They're just around the bend here, and again, it shows our commitment to continuing to work with Virginia filmmakers. They did the film Vintage. That was a centerpiece film in the festival last year. So, without further ado, I'd like to get to this year's film program. I think all of you probably remember that we opened last year with a highly anticipated and somewhat controversial Black Swan, and I think we do no less this year with opening with The Descendants, directed by Alexander Payne and starring George Clooney. This has received tremendous Oscar buzz, particularly its last screening at the Toronto Film Festival. We're proud to be able to open the festival this year with The Descendants, and we feel that it's going to receive just as much buzz for us opening the festival this year. I'd like to move on to our centerpiece film on Saturday, November 5th, and that is the celebrated Albert Nobbs. It's a film that was written by Glenn Close and directed by festival favorite Rodrigo Garcia. And our special guest along with the film this year is, of course, the director Rodrigo Garcia and Mia Wasikowska. You probably know Mia from her work as Alice in Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. Last year, The Kids Are All Right, and most recently, Jane in Jane Eyre. She's a 22-year-old actress who is rising star, and we're thrilled to be able to have her at the festival this year, along with Rodrigo Garcia, and then a longtime friend of the festival, Julie Lynn, who was a producer on the film, and one of Steven Spielberg's longtime producing partners, Bonnie Curtis, who's also associated with that film. And all of them will be in attendance that Saturday evening at the Paramount Theater, our centerpiece screening. Our closing night film this year, last year was an independent film, Happy Thank You More Please, and continuing that tradition of closing with an indie, we have the film Thin Ice that stars Greg Kinnear. Also has Alan Arkin in it and Billy Crudup. This is a really fun film with a lot of twists and turns in it, and we think it's an excellent closing night film for us. And we have a number of special guests, and mind you, I'm going over some of the highlights now, and I'm going to take you through the program in its whole in a few minutes, but we're proud to announce that we're bringing in legendary filmmaker Oliver Stone this year, and we will be screening JFK. It's the 20th anniversary of JFK, and afterwards, Professor Larry Sabato will sit down and moderate a conversation. Larry Sabato with the Center for Politics at UVA, and a moderated conversation with Mr. Stone about JFK, and Mr. Sabato is about to complete a book on John F. Kennedy right now, so we think the timing for this is perfect as well. The very same evening, following this, in a double billing in the Culver Theater, we're celebrating the 15th anniversary of The People vs. Larry Flynt, another Oliver Stone produced project, and bringing in Mr. Larry Flynt, the often controversial publisher. And this is done in association with the Thomas Jefferson Center for Protection of Free Expression and a moderated conversation about First Amendment rights. And we think this is going to be a very fascinating, not to miss conversation afterwards. We don't know yet, but we're going to invite Oliver to join in on that conversation as well. We don't have confirmation right now on that because he's traveling, but he'll certainly be there for JFK. Should be a lot of interesting fireworks that evening. I'm particularly proud to announce this series that we're doing. I worked on it for over a year. It hasn't been easy. It involved bringing in 2 special projectors and refurbishing the projectors, and I believe this is a one-of-a-kind program in the United States. But I'm proud to be able to present Turner Classic Movies Library of Congress Celebrate the National Film Registry, hosted by TCM's Ben Mankiewicz. And with this, we're going to be screening 5 classic films that are on the National Film Registry. Each year, the Library of Congress selects 25 films that are deemed culturally and historically significant We've chosen 5 films to launch the program this year. They will all be screened in the historic Paramount Theater to Library of Congress specifications. And one of the highlights of that series, now Ben Mankiewicz will be on hand to introduce all 5 of those films as well, so one of the co-hosts of Turner Classic Movies and noted film historian and critic. But one of the exciting parts of that series is we're going to be screening Badlands, Sissy Spacek's first film, and Sissy Spacek and Jack Fisk, and by the way, they met on this film, will be on hand to discuss the film with Ben Mankiewicz immediately following. So we're excited to be able to present that Terrence Malick film, an incredible film, and present that series as well. As part of that series, and as the centerpiece screening for Family Day, which is an ongoing tradition here of free family screenings on Saturday mornings, we are going to be screening National Velvet, one of my favorite films as a child growing up. Charlottesville is known for its beautiful horse country and the surrounding regions, and also Elizabeth Taylor, of course, filmed Giant here many years ago, and so we thought that this was a wonderful film with her passing this year to be able to present a wonderful film for kids, and I might add, with 2 young daughters myself, a wonderful role model for young women. It's a great film, and we're proud to be able to do that. Ben will be on hand to introduce that film as well. As part of that Family Day series, we're continuing the Young Filmmakers Academy. We have over 275 children that are making 90-second films for presentation during the festival, all in the schools. We have many of our interns that are going out and actually working with them, giving them everything from acting lessons to introducing them to lights and how to work the camera and edit and all these sorts of things. It's a wonderful opportunity for the students to actually be involved, and we're very proud of that program. One of the featured independent films that we're screening won South by Southwest this year. It's called Natural Selection, and we're bringing in Rachel Harris. You may or may not recognize Rachel, but she was that nasty fiancé in The Hangover. If you remember the dentist who gets his tooth knocked out at the end, and she goes ballistic at the wedding at the end. And also well known for her appearances on Comedy Central and a number of sitcoms, and this is an incredible acting performance. It's a fun movie, and I highly recommend this film. We're proud to be able to present this along with the director and Rachel in. Another highlight of the festival is a celebration of 45 years of Garde films. Made tremendous documentaries about a number of social issues over the years. We're bringing in the co-founder, Gordon Quinn, and Steve James, perhaps best known for directing Hoop Dreams. And one of the films, A Good Man, will be screening. And that film is a film about Bill T. Jones, who's in residency at the university. He'll be returning for his residency this year. He'll be doing a performance at the Paramount Theater later in the week. But on that Sunday, we'll be screening the film and having a conversation with Bill T. Jones and Gordon Quinn immediately following. Prior to that film, they have a short film, 100 Migrations, that was actually filmed when he was in residence 2 years ago about the piece he was developing on the university grounds called 100 Migrations. That particular piece, which is 15 minutes long, includes a number of members from the community, university faculty, students, and I think there'll be a lot of interest in that. So we're very excited about that as well. We're screening 8 Contemplative films over the 4 days of the festival. Another highlight of the festival this year, in association with the Embassy of Israel and Congregation Beth Israel, we've chosen 8 films, 4 Israeli films, and 4 films that deal with Jewish identity and Jewish heritage and culture that we'll be screening during the festival. It's an incredible selection of new films that we'll be screening. One of the films is a beautiful film called David. We have the director and producer coming in as well with that film and doing a presentation. Beautiful film about a young Muslim boy who actually masquerades as a young Jewish boy just to make friends and becomes caught up in that world. It's a very lovely story. The program itself is very exciting, and I feel really good about this program and excited about it as well. Our high school screening last year was The Freedom Riders. This year it is The Loving Story, which is a wonderful documentary by Nancy Bursky. She'll be in along with her producing partner, and this chronicles the story of Richard and Mildred Loving. The Lovings were an interracial couple that lived in a small community just north of Richmond, and in 1957 they were married and shortly thereafter banned from the state of Virginia. They used to sneak back under cover of darkness to visit their family and their friends in the community until the ACLU picked up their case and won in their favor in a unique and landmark Supreme Court decision in 1967. It's a beautiful, moving documentary. In the last several years, we've done a number of films about civil rights and race. I think it's an issue that seems never to end in our country and around the world. We'll continue to examine those issues as we move forward. But I'm thrilled to be able to present this film. It is our high school screening on Friday morning. We'll screen it in front of 850 plus high school students at the Martin Luther King Performing Arts Center. They're talking about this film. There'll be study guides, and we're bringing in the filmmakers. We're very close to confirming. We hope Peggy Loving, who's the daughter of Mildred and Richard Loving, and several renowned legal experts that are going to come in and discuss this case and give their views on the decision. We're reprising that later in the evening as well on the grounds of the university for the general public. So we're excited about that screening. Finally, we're doing a focus on food on film, and there's been so much interest here in Charlottesville and around the country about locally sourced food, and I know Charlottesville has a big commitment to that. I think it's very, very important. So I happened to see a wonderful doc at Silver Docs called Cafeteria Man, and I managed to meet this gentleman, Tony Geraci. He was a celebrity chef. He's friends with Jamie Oliver, and rather than being Jamie Oliver and going in and embarrassing the school system, he was hired by the Baltimore Public County school system when a couple of students were sort of told by their civics teacher, if you want to do something, you've got to sort of be activists about it. And they went in, they confronted the school superintendent in his office and dropped a lunch tray on his desk and said, "You eat it." And he did, and he was embarrassed. And so he made this change and brought Geraci in. Geraci bought a farm, started sourcing food locally, had a commitment to that. There's a scene in the movie where he describes the first time an urban city kid had never held a peach, and he felt the peach and the fuzz on the peach and put it up to his cheek and felt that, and the juice dribbled down, and I gotta tell you, I teared up when I heard that, and I thought we were screen this film. Tony's gonna be coming in, Richard Chisholm, the director's gonna be coming in. We're working with some members of the school board and some local food activists and the UVA Food Collaborative and Brown College to pull this incredible panel together that's going to talk about these issues. I know there's a movement in Charlottesville that embraces this, and we want to be helping that movement along. Also, Farmageddon, which is a film that features and highlights the work that Joel Salatin is doing, and the challenges that smaller farmers face from governmental regulations. And Joel's featured throughout this film. He's going to be coming in and discussing this film, so we're thrilled to be able to do that. We also have a local film we're excited about called Growing Up Kaysen, which is about the Kaysen family here. It was behind the evolution of the farmers market and founding the farmers market here, and it really chronicles their family going back to the 1920s here in Charlottesville. And it's a fascinating documentary that shows a whole sort of lifestyle that is no longer in Charlottesville and elsewhere in the world sometimes. Back in the 20s and the 30s, the Depression, World War II, it's a beautiful, lovely documentary, and one that I'm thrilled to be able to highlight as well. We're 4 days, over 100 films. I can't go through all of the films here, but I'm going to take you through a few more highlights and then kind of wrap up and take some questions with you here. So some of the other spotlight films, and I mentioned big studio films. The Artist, which I'm sure you're aware of, had its premiere at Cannes and is receiving tremendous Oscar buzz after Toronto right now. It is a silent black and white film, new, imagine. Enough said on that film. A Dangerous Method, David Cronenberg's latest film, which we're going to be excited about. A love triangle between Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud, and the woman whose role in their lives sort of informed and had lasting consequences for both of them. We need to talk about Heaven, Tilda Swinton, and it is going to be a fascinating, dark piece that's an important part of this festival. Melancholia, Lars von Trier's film. Martha, Marcy, Marlene, we're actually opening the festival with a double billing right after The Descendants is down, and many of us were over at the opening night gala. We're screening that film, much in the same way that we did 127 Hours last year, and both Black Swan and 127 Hours sold out completely in advance. We're hoping to do the same with this one as well. And finally, Butter, starring Jennifer Garner, which is a little bit of a send-up of Michelle Bachmann, about a butter sculptor from the Midwest. So that should be a lot of fun to take a look at that film as well. Some of the other highlights I'd like to go over. The Library of Congress Turner Classic Movies National Film Registry series includes the screening of Badlands that I talked about with Sissy Spacek, Ben Mankiewicz, and Jack Fisk. The General is the 85th anniversary of the classic Buster Keaton film, The General, and we're going to have live musical accompaniment by Matt Marshall and the Real Music Ensemble. National Velvet, which I mentioned, has our free Family Day screening, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, the Robert Altman film, and finally, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which will highlight the preservation work of the Library of Congress. And this entire series is going to be informed by a beautiful documentary that we're screening on Thursday evening called These Amazing Shadows that highlights the preservation work of the Library of Congress and the founding of the National Film Registry and exactly what it's all about. And if you want to know why I love film, why I think it's transformative, why I think it's such an important art form in the 20th century, go see this film. It's an incredible film, and it really, really sets the table for this Library of Congress series that I'm so proud about. I mentioned the 45th anniversary of the celebration of Cartemplin films. We're excited about that, and the Loving Story and the Food on Film, the focus on Israel. Our foreign films, particularly proud of these. I think it's important for us to be able to look at other cultures, to learn from them, to see how unique and different they are, and also how often they mirror our own cultures in very, very similar ways as well. Some of the highlights of that includes Poland's potential candidate for an Academy Award, which is In Darkness, Hungary's candidate, The Turin Horse, and Greece's candidate, Attenberg, along with a fine list of films. One of the highlights for me is a film called The King of Devil's Island, which is just an exceptional film and beautiful, compelling, sort of a sweeping, epic-like film, and one that you don't get to see very often. So I'd like to highlight these two. Our Family Day, again, we're going to have an interactive family fair downtown that's free for kids, green screens. Whole Foods is participating by giving away tasty treats. The screenings that we talked about, we're screening Lighthouse films. We're actually opening the festival this year. Our opening film is The Descendants, but we have a short film, which is a Lighthouse film. It's a beautiful, beautiful animated pencil drawing film that's going to open the festival for 5 minutes just before that. We're proud to present it. It's that good. So we're excited about that. And I think finally, to sum up, the last 2 years we've done a digital media gallery. It's been kind of a fun thing for us. It's been free. We've taken over Storefront on the Wall. We've worked with Kevin Everson's class with the university to highlight students' works in the Bridge and Greg Kelly, and to do local community filmmakers' works there. Short digital films, art films, and an art-like installation. That's an adaptive experience every year. And this year, not having any great downtown space to take over, and I'm glad because the economy seems to be doing a little bit better on the downtown mall. We're taking that and putting it on the walls outside in the downtown malls. We're going to be seeing projections starting the Friday before the festival. It will be up for about 10 days, and about 7 or 8 spaces outside on the bricks, screens hung in the trees, maybe on the ground, and a couple of spaces on the grounds of the university as well. And we thought that this was a way to open up the festival and let everybody know the festival's in full gear and happening and running on all cylinders, and invite them to participate in it, whether they actually go in the theater or not. Our Main Street, we're back at the Main Street Arena with a remote box office that opens up about, oh, Jenny, how long out from the festival?
October 25th.
Thank you. October 25th we open that. But tickets go on sale Friday morning online. The website goes live this evening at 6 o'clock, so people can start checking out the film schedule, and we start selling tickets Friday morning as well. So I want people to encourage them to go online and start looking at that schedule as soon as possible. And we hope to have a great, wonderful, exciting festival. And finally, I want to share the last 2 things with you, which is, once again, to reiterate that we are presented by the University of Virginia. We're proud for their support. I'd like to thank our hosts, the X Lounge and the AV Company, for their support today, and all of our sponsors. And finally, I'd like to show you the commercial that we're going to be running that will air starting next week sometime. Just a little fun we had this year. again by Silverthorne Films. Thank you, Pete. Are there any questions?
You mentioned the start about the folks who started it all back in '88, '89. Pat Flutie, of course, still around here.
Yep, saw her last night.
At the very first festival. Governor Belials, who now works at the, was a governor at the time. There's some people who actually were here, but others, some of the stars, like Gregory Peck, Jimmy Stewart, but they passed away. But he's going to try to bring back some of the Hollywood glitterati from that era, as well as...
You know, I don't know how we're going to handle that. I think what I wanted to mention, and you know, I want to get through this year first, hopefully successfully with our skin intact, but looking forward, I think what's really great is we have a lot of opportunities to explore. I don't want to do a rehash of years gone, but I'd like to be able to pay our respects to all the great work that has been done in the past and acknowledge some of the great moments. So we may go back in time and select certain people or certain programs and hope that they're free to attend or to do a special program built around them. At the same time, I want to maintain our contemporary focus. As you see that our classic films this year, we're screening less of them, but we're doing them in a highly focused way that we think really brings a very positive light on classic film. And that's what I want to continue to do. So, you know, the great thing is it's a blank slate right now. And once we get past this year, I've got a whole year to be able to think about that.
And the other thing is, some of the people that they didn't bring back in the late 80s and the early 90s, but they always wanted to, maybe somebody's available now that would not have been available.
Well, you see, I'm sure they didn't keep that list of all the people who rejected them, because I throw all my rejections away afterwards and just don't tell anybody I asked. But yeah, we'll have to visit that. Thank you. I think anybody cut my batting average on the number of times you ask them, the number of times you get turned down, whether they don't want to come or they actually have a project or whatever, you would never make a baseball team. Any other questions?
It's a pretty comprehensive presentation.
All right, well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming down here, and we look forward to seeing you during the festival. I know that John's prepared to answer any questions that you may have, and we thank you so much for your support and your coverage. Very much so. Thank you all.